Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Spear from HorrorFam.com, and this is the HorrorFam.com podcast, episode number 28. And today I'm talking with Stephen Bell, aka STEXE, of STEXE Novelties, or Novelties by STEXE. And he makes all kinds of cool figures based on um, horror movies and B movies and horror TV and all kinds of things that I know that you'll be interested and love. And here he is. Hi.
Hello. All right. Where do we start?
Well, how about where you got your start? How did you get into doing this?
Well, my background in model making I started in natural history museums. I was really fortunate that in art school, I graduated with a sculpture degree, and then I was interning at a museum. So right after I graduated, I got a staff job at another museum, which happened natural history. And then I ended up at a museum that did all of its own model making in-house. So I've been sculpting and had a focus in figurative sculpture when I was in school, but I was lucky enough to go to a museum that all their sculpting, mold making, and casting and production work was all done within the walls of the museum itself.
Wow.
And otherwise, I don't know if I would have learned uh, the skills that I'm still using now to make this stuff. And after that was over, I moved into doing some model shop works for commercial advertising, still photography, television commercials. I did that for a few years. And yeah, and I didn't really start doing the work we're talking about until I was about in my early 40s.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'd lost, I had lost a staff job that I'd been at for several years. Didn't really know what to do. I was kind of burned out working for Hollywood because those jobs are so stressful and so time intensive
Yeah. Yeah.
that they expect you to be there for 18, 20 hours a day to meet a deadline, for a shoot. And I just didn't want to do that anymore in my 40s.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife and I became foster parents, so
Oh,
that was
wow.
a lot of time at home with all these people coming over, checking on you all the time. So I
Mhm.
needed to be like a stay-at-home dad for a while. And so I just focused on the Etsy store, and I feel like that's been a really good thing. Etsy has been promoting a lot of my work for me, and the investment up front is so cheap. I mean, it's 20 cents to list something for 3 months. So I could
Oh,
put something
wow.
out there for 3 months for 20 cents, see if it gets any attention. If not, maybe I'll withdraw that and try something else, and it's been a great place to experiment with what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure like a lot of people who are thinking about doing stuff like this are gonna feel inspired after hearing all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just fortunate, like I said, to learn some of the skills that were necessary when I was actually getting paid for it on the job. But, these days, it's not really so much exclusive knowledge. You can learn a lot of things just from YouTube tutorials. I know I have. I've improved a lot of my methods just from watching YouTube. So I think it's a little easier to get into it. If you can sculpt, you can probably teach yourself how to make molds and how to cast and things like that, do production work.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And, what made you interested in, like, the horror movies and all that fun stuff?
I kind of got into that slowly. When I started my Etsy store, I was doing more like natural history type things.
Mhm.
Was really interested in um what I actually specialized in as a model maker for natural history museums was invertebrates,
Mm.
arthropods,
Yeah.
insects, uh,
Yeah, nice.
things like that. So I started sculpting. Well, here's a Colorado river toad.
Oh, awesome.
So this is the original clay sculpture. I was able to pull the mold off without much any damage. So I was selling things like that, and then I started getting more into the novelty side of things. This is a flea
Oh,
that
yes.
the
I
little
saw
jumper.
that
Yeah,
on
so it
you have that
I
on
was
your Etsy store.
starting to do this cross section between natural history museums, curiosity cabinets, and like mid-century novelty shops.
Yeah.
And the first piece I did that was really like a monster movie thing was this guy. Um, it's an incredible melting man that has a wick on his head, and you can burn him
Oh,
as much
that's
as you
so
want.
cool.
And he melts over the course of about an hour or so. Here's one that.
Oh.
Um, so I put this in my Etsy store, and right away, this is the first thing I ever did that was like monster movie related, and this was back before social media took over the internet when there were still blogs.
Yeah.
And there were some blogs that were really popular. One of them was Boing Boing. I don't know if you remember that from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
This would have been around 2010. Um,
Yeah.
Boing Boing put my Etsy store up. They did a post about me. And
Oh,
then
okay.
at the same time, I don't know if it was right after or right before. I don't know who did it first, but PB Herman featured me in his blog.
Oh,
So
nice.
and it was this piece. It was, he bought one. I don't know if he bought one, but he, like, had put up pictures of these.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
that drew a lot of attention to my store, and I just started doing similar things, and I'm trying to incorporate gimmicks into a lot of what I do. Sometimes I repurpose wind-up motors.
Oh, yes, I
This
saw
is,
your wind up Tor Johnson.
this is Tor
My
Johnson from, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
the one of the things that I saw on your shop that I was just like, "Oh, that is perfect," was, the house on Haunted Hill.
Oh my gosh. That was so hard to produce because I mean,
Oh,
sculpting it.
but that's so perfect.
Yeah, sculpting it wasn't hard, but, yeah, this piece, I think there's 5 molds, that I had to do separately before assembling it, and the body is hollow, so it could fit the car motor in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it rolls along just like in the movie.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, this was a popular item, and you probably saw the I didn't do that many '80s films, but you probably saw the finger puppet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, oh, you'll need to do that again. Yeah, there you
And
go.
down here. So, yeah, hollow cast plastic, basket with metal hinges on it. These things are a lot of work. This is probably the most work intensive thing I do. And then, solid cast, soft rubber puppet with airbrushing and paint.
Oh, I love that.
What else is in that vein? Oh, yeah, here's a tingler.
Yes, we have that one too.
You have the tingler. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I have a hex bug motor in it to make it move around on the table.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I guess, yeah, when I'm subject matter, it's gotta be something that really resonated with me in some way. Most of these
Yeah.
movies, I saw them kind of at the right time and in the right conditions, and, a lot of it is stuff that goes back to, elementary school because 'cause I'm 55 now, so I grew up in the '70s. We didn't get cable television until I was 12. I think we got a VCR when I was 14. So before that, it was just almost nothing but old black and white movies on UHF, local Chicago stations, and they played constantly. You could watch them on Saturday morning instead of cartoons. And so, like, the mushroom people thing that did you show that one yet?
Yeah,
And have one. Yeah, you have a
we have
yeah.
a pink one.
So, very dim memories of watching this when I was, like, 5 years old. And, likewise, the, War of the Gargantuas figures, I did, one each of these same studio, same era, Japanese, Toho,
Yeah.
Kaiju film. These have, polarized magnets inside of them, so they work like the old,
Oh, those
uh,
dogs, the
those
tricky
punks,
dogs.
yeah. So
Yeah,
you get one to sneak up on the other, and the other one swings around and punches him. So
that's so cool.
yeah, so, these movies, seeing them at an early age, some often by yourself, on UHF on a fuzzy screen, takes on this strange kind of quality that kind of just lives in the back of your head for a long time. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm tending to go for is that era. Plus, I want to sculpt things that I don't think that hardly anyone else has done. So I'm always trying to, if it's visually interesting, even if it's a movie I don't like, here's a good example of that. This doesn't even happen. Nothing like this happens in the movie. This is just the image from the poster
Oh, yeah,
of,
sometimes the posters are cooler.
yeah, Beast of Blood, which is an old Filipino movie from the '70s, that early '70s that I consider to be unwatchable. But the yeah, great poster image. And here's this is a two-piece set of Frankenstein and the Space Monster. Also copying the poster artwork.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, these are only sold together.
Yeah, we have like a ton of your Zanty Misfits.
Those are
um,
popular. Yeah,
well, now
people
for
always
the
ask me if I can make
shows.
those more closer to the actual size. And I guess I didn't mention that I don't do 3D printing. That everything I do is sculpted in clay and cast in silicone rubber. And so, yeah, the most common question I get for just about anything is, could I get this larger or could I get it smaller?
Yeah, that was one of the things, my parents, had a friend over and they were, like, looking at your figures like, "Wait, this isn't a 3D print. This is this is something else."
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, I know that I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get out of working in clay, but now they do sell such cheap handheld scanners where you could just scan one of these sculptures from multiple images and the scanner does the uh, work on its own and in coding that into a 3D object that you can adjust the scale, or you could just sell it as a 3D file for other people to print out.
Yeah, I
So
don't know,
that
it
is something
would
that I have to get into soon. But a lot of the work I do sell is assembled and painted. So
yeah.
there's always going to be some market for that.
Well, I think it's great. And I've had some 3D printed toys and they're not as sturdy.
Yeah, there are some people who get their prototypes 3D printed and they still go through the work of mold making and casting with solid resin. But I think the 3D printed resins are getting better quality all the time. So I can't. I'm not going to pretend that traditional casting is better at this point anymore because I really don't know that for sure. It's something that I should
Yeah,
learn, probably.
maybe I just have bad luck, but
Yeah. I mean, it's improved greatly in the last few years. So, but that
Well,
is a thing is that I do 100% of my production work. So I'm busy all the time with my Etsy store. On Etsy alone, I sell a little over 1,000 individual pieces per year, and I'm making every one of those pieces myself. So
yeah, that's
I'm
a
not
lot.
shopping with anything. So it's like I'm just barely successful enough where I'm always busy doing that, but not quite successful enough where I can send my work out to other shops to do it for me because then I wouldn't have any profit margin. So,
Yeah.
which is why I want to start thinking about the 3D printing and stuff because it's I'd
Yeah.
be lucky if I get to do a hand 4 or 5 new sculptures a year at this point.
Plus, yeah, there are some benefits too where very light, you could do, like, puppets.
Yeah, yeah, things making things hollow is not a problem. Some of these hollow pieces that I do, it involves putting it on a rig that spins it 360 degrees until the plastic cures, which is about 10 minutes. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
2 minutes per cast, like, and 3D printing that you can avoid that. You can make things lighter by printing out hollow parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I have
pretty
some stuff
cool.
that I just finished.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll show you these because these haven't actually I haven't started mold making these yet. So this is an
Oh,
original.
yes, you're the chud.
Oh yes, this is the chud is over here. This is the humanoids from the deep figure.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so these are going to be rubbery jigglers cast in soft rubber with a string coming out of the top. So that's super sculpey. It's a polymer clay, and I already cooked this in the oven, so it's solid. I've been doing a little bit of sanding. You can tool this stuff after it dries, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Get some hard edges with sandpaper or scalpels. And here's the chud.
Ah, yes.
Same thing. They're both going to be rubbery figures. So yeah, get the mold started on those.
I like the jiggler that you had for the Fiend Without a Face.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got that one right here. Being without a face figure.
Oh, now people can see the jiggles.
Hmm. And this is my most popular jiggler. Is the the head from the Norse head from the thing. Yeah, totally unbreakable. This was a molding feat. I met and cast this in one piece from a very complicated mold that took a little trial and error to make. And here's a fun one. Do I have a no? Never mind. Here's a painted up guy from
Oh,
Extra.
extra.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't talk about the cryptozoology pieces. Those are my most popular ones.
Oh, yes, I noticed those. You had a lot of cryptids, the
Yeah,
Mothman and
those are the most successful things that I've ever sold. I've been selling those for about 12 years, and I'm up to number 27. So, but yeah, these are about 2-inch tall figures. This is the I don't know how to pronounce this. The Fook monster. I think it's the Fook monster. The Legend of Boggy Creek. He's a Sasquatch.
yeah,
Yeah, from
they made a movie about him.
very popular movie. Yes, very successful movie. Not acclaimed, but yeah. And so some of them are based on sightings. Some of them are extraterrestrials. Some like this one, the Squonk, is just old 19th century American mythology. And they come with the packaging and come with a little information card. And yeah, the cheapest thing in my store too. I spend a lot of time making these and making new molds for them.
Yeah, you had the Flatwoods Monster, the Chupacabra, the Mothman, Jersey Devil, um, Boggy Creek.
Yeah,
That's just 5 say you have 27 different ones?
27 in all. Yeah,
Wow.
they're starting to get a little obscure, but sometimes sometimes I do a call out on Instagram and ask what I'm supposed to do next, and I've gotten some help that way.
Nice. And you also did, like, the Fiji mermaid and some other, like,
Oh yeah,
novelties, curiosities.
yeah. I'll show you. I have a Fiji mermaid right over there. Okay, I have this right here. This is my biggest seller right now. Is the this monkey's paw that is I've sold it before in other incarnations, but this one is the largest one that I've done, and this is doing really well right now.
Is that the one that's also a flash drive or a USB
No,
drive? No?
yeah, I also sell the USB drive, and that's a smaller version. And oh man, I don't have it. Oh well, yeah, there's a smaller version that's a USB drive, and that also has an album on it of the music that I've done. I do my own kind of electronic, dark ambient music, so I put some of that on there.
Oh.
And then a big seller is the monkey's paw back scratcher, which I use from the same mold. So,
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
mhm.
And you mentioned that you ask for feedback on the cryptids on your Instagram. Did you wanna talk about, um, that and other ways to reach you and contact you so people
Yeah, the best way
can
to contact me is either through my Etsy store or Instagram. So Etsy store, it's just Steeks. Instagram is Novelties by Steeks with underscores. And yeah, get in touch with me either way from there.
and for people who
And
are listening, that's STEXE.
STEXE, yeah. Oh, my website is steeks.net, and currently it's just domain. If you program websites, please get in touch with me because I would love to get a real website going. I designed my own in like 2003, and it was not so great. So I finally got rid of that a couple years ago, and yeah, I would love for someone to redo it for me. So because I have the domain name forwards to my Etsy store now. So
So if you go to Steeks.net right now, it'll take you directly to his Etsy store, and you'll be able to buy all these cool things that we're showing off.
mhm. So I guess I got a few more things. Oh yeah, my biggest seller of all time is not a monster toy. It's just a solid rubber cast of a tardigrade. So
Oh, yes,
sold
a water bear.
a water bear. Yes. So yeah, it's just a solid rubber cast. It's nice and squeezable, very
Oh,
affordable,
like a stress
unpainted.
ball.
Yeah, I actually called it the tardigrade stress ball for many years, and then I started getting all these bad reviews on Etsy saying it's not a real stress ball. Stress balls are supposed to be more squishy. It's not. It's like, okay, fine, it's not a stress ball. So now I just call it a rubber tardigrade. And oh, these are fun. I made these figures for a vending machine that I sometimes take with me to the shows. I do artist tables at shows. Once, oh, my next one is Monsterpalooza in Pasadena. That's coming up in late May, I think. So I put these inside of like the 2-inch capsule vendors. So here's the guy from Hell It Came. These are all kind of mid-century films. Horror of Party Beach. What's the name of this? It Conquered the World. Monster That Challenged the World. What's this thing called? The Crawling Eye. You could buy these on Etsy in sets of 5 now. You don't have to go to one of the shows and buy them from a gumball machine. But what's this guy? Invaders from Mars? Oh, a small version of the Tingler. So yeah, at the shows, these are like $5 each. Octoman. I think this was Rick Baker's earliest creation. Invasion of the Saucerman and the She Creature. That's how many I have in that series so far. These little tiny blacklight reactive figures.
Awesome.
I was going to show you. Oh yeah, I did this because my dad took us to the drive-in movie theater oh man, I was like 8 or 9 years old, and we saw Slithus. Has anyone heard of this movie? It was filmed in Venice Beach. Um, it's a terrible, terrible movie, but just because I had this personal history with it, I sculpted this. And when we got
I
to the
love that.
theater,
That's great.
we got to the drive-in theater, they gave us a Slithus survival kit,
Oh,
and you were supposed to fill out the form and mail away to a fan club. So I printed these out, and I give these away to any customer who buys one of these figures
oh, that's so cool.
to recreate that experience.
Wow. Oh man. And you said that your next show is Monsterpalooza in May and that you go to both Monsterpaloozas, so twice a year?
Yeah, I've done every Monsterpalooza for the last 12 or 13 years.
Okay.
Ever since I don't know, ever since I got in on the list, I guess. Yeah, it's fun. I end up seeing the same people every year, just coming by and asking what's new.
Alright.
Have I seem to have a small base of people who buy most of the stuff that I do, so that's always nice to keep seeing the same people again and again.
Yeah. And do you ever travel for other shows, or do you stay
Not
with
s Not so
Yeah?
much, like, our kids are getting a little bit older. We have 2 kids who are still in elementary school, but I might travel a little more. It seems like I don't do too well outside of the Monsterpalooza shows. I've done some other shows here in LA, and I've driven up to Las Vegas for at least 3 shows. And I'm if I barely break even in any of those scenarios after my artist table, and especially after hotels and things like that. I would
Mhm.
love to travel more though, if it was uh if it was just more profitable, you know. And it's also hard to get into some of these shows, that are in the western part of the United States that are really popular, you know. But I
So
don't know.
the
I
best
should try to do that. If anyone has any suggestions, if anyone runs any shows or is a vendor, please let me know. Because yeah, I would like to get out there a little more.
so the best ways for, people to contact you would be through the Etsy store, and if they're local, to go to Monsterpalooza.
Oh yeah, yeah. Etsy messaging is the best way to get to me.
Alright. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share or to show off or to talk about?
Mm, I think I'm running out of things that I have in front of me here. No,
Well,
I think that'll about do it.
alright. I've got the monster of Piedras Blancas if you wanted to talk about that. That was one
Oh,
that, I I did a painting of, and my mom has done a mask of.
Oh,
So
oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that was a film. I don't think I've ever actually seen that one. So, as for personal history goes, no, didn't really have much of a connection with that, but I just love the imagery.
It's just a
Um,
cool looking monster.
yeah, I love the imagery of, I think it wasn't poster art, it was just like, a publicity still, and then it ended up on a punk rock album that I had as a 16-year-old by the Angry Samoans. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of a connection there. Um, but yeah, that's a piece where you could probably tell looking at it that I wanted it to be hinged, where the arms would be able to move because I cast them separately from the body,
Yeah.
but it didn't work that well. Hang on just a second. Yeah, I did a similar one here, also with
Oh,
the arms.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
The Hotel Hell,
Motel
is it?
Hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of the earliest ones I did, actually. I did this very shortly after that Melting Man figure. But yeah, thanks for asking me to do this, and thanks for being such a big customer of my work.
You'll have to thank my mom.
Yeah, well, her too.
Well, it was very nice meeting you, and, for everyone watching or listening, that was Stephen Bell, Novelties by STEXE. You should check out his stuff at stexe.net, STEXE.net, and that'll take you to his Etsy store, or you could just look up STEXE on Etsy, and that you'll find it. Just look for the stuff that we've been showing off, and, um, yeah. It was nice having you on, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.